That evening felt like it would last forever. The sun had disappeared behind distant hills, leaving warmth trapped in stone streets. The air held that particular stillness that comes when day surrenders to night, when heat begins to fade but has not yet abandoned the world completely. In Pompeii, this was the hour when the city took its first deep breath after a long day of commerce and conversation. The hour when torches were lit, when doors were closed, when families gathered for the evening meal, when the noise of daily life settled into something quieter, something almost like peace. You stand at the edge of the Forum, the city's great public square. During daylight hours, this space buzzed with activity. Merchants shouting their prices across the colonnade, politicians debating in clusters near the temple steps, citizens conducting business beneath the shade of the porticos, children running between columns while their mothers bargained for vegetables and cloth. Now the Forum rests. A few torches burn along the colonnade, their flames steady in the windless air. Their light catches the white marble columns, turning them gold and shadow. The effect is beautiful in a way that daylight never quite manages. More intimate, more revealing of texture and depth. Beautiful and somehow temporary, as if this moment exists only for those who are present to witness it. And once the night passes, it will be gone forever, replaced by another day, another version of the city, another rhythm of light and shadow. But you do not think about tomorrow. Not yet. Tonight is all that matters. Tonight and the slow walk home through streets you know by heart. Streets that have shaped your understanding of distance, of direction, of what it means to belong to a place. Every stone beneath your feet tells a story. Every corner turned reveals a memory. This city is not just where you live, it is who you are. The rhythms of Pompeii have become the rhythms of your breath, your heartbeat, your very existence. You move away from the Forum, following a narrow lane that winds between buildings 3 and 4 stories tall. Their facades rise on either side, creating a corridor of stone and plaster that channels the cooling evening air. The paving stones beneath your feet are smooth, worn down by generations of footsteps. Each stone holds the day's warmth, radiating it gently upward. You can feel this warmth even through your sandals. It is a small comfort, one you have never consciously noticed before, but now, in this quiet hour, it registers fully. The stone remembers the sun. It holds onto that memory even after darkness arrives. This persistence of warmth feels like a metaphor for something, though you cannot quite articulate what. Perhaps it is simply this, that everything leaves traces, that presence lingers even after the source has departed, that the world holds memory in ways we do not always recognize. The street is not completely dark. Every few houses, a lamp burns in a window or hangs near a doorway. These small lights create pools of visibility, gentle islands in the surrounding shadows. Between these islands, darkness gathers, but it is not threatening. It is not the darkness of wilderness or unknown territory. It is the familiar darkness of home, the darkness that says, "You are safe here. You are known." Nothing in these shadows seeks to harm you. You pass a fountain built into the wall where 2 streets intersect. Water falls from a bronze spout shaped like a lion's head, flowing into a stone basin below. The sound is constant and rhythmic, a percussion that has marked this corner for as long as you can remember. During the day, this fountain serves practical purposes. People come to fill jugs, to wash dust from their hands and faces, to water animals brought in from the countryside. But now, at night, its purpose becomes different. Simpler, more essential. Now it is simply a sound, a presence, a reminder that water continues to flow regardless of whether anyone needs it, that some things persist beyond human intention or desire, that the world operates according to principles larger than individual concern. You stop for a moment and listen, really listen, not just hearing the water as background noise, but attending to its music, the way each drop contributes to the larger pattern, the way the basin catches and releases, creating subtle variations in tone and rhythm. The water's song is uncomplicated. It rises and falls in patterns determined by pressure and gravity, by the shape of the basin and the angle of the spout. There is no intention behind it, no meaning. Just the pure fact of water moving from one place to another, pulled by forces as old as the earth itself. And yet, listening to it, you feel something settle inside yourself. Some tension you had been carrying without realizing it begins to loosen. Your shoulders drop slightly, your jaw unclenches. Your breathing deepens and slows. The fountain cannot solve problems. It cannot change circumstances. It cannot alter the fundamental conditions of your life. But it can remind you that some things continue, steady and reliable, regardless of human worry or human striving. This reminder is enough. For now, it is more than enough. You cup your hands beneath the flow and splash water on your face. The coolness is shocking, refreshing, awakening. It brings you fully into your body, fully into this moment. For a few seconds, nothing exists except the sensation of water against skin, the sound of droplets falling back into the basin, the smell of wet stone. Then the moment passes. You dry your face on the edge of your tunic and walk on. The street curves, following the natural contours of the land beneath the city. Pompeii was not built on a grid, like some newer Roman cities constructed with military precision. It grew organically, following older paths that existed before Rome claimed this coast, adapting to the terrain rather than imposing order upon it. This means the streets are irregular. They curve unexpectedly. They narrow without warning. They open suddenly into small squares, then contract again into passages barely wide enough for two people to pass. Some streets climb steeply, others descend. The elevation changes are subtle but constant, reminding you that this city is built on a gentle slope, rising toward the mountain. The mountain, Vesuvius, always there, solid and permanent against the eastern sky. You cannot see it now in the darkness, but you know exactly where it stands. You have lived your entire life within sight of that mountain. It is as familiar as your own hands, less a threat than a landmark, a way of orienting yourself, east toward the mountain, west toward the sea, north and south following the coast. But you do not think about the mountain now. It is simply there, as it has always been, as it will always be. Constant, enduring, eternal. Or so it seems. This irregularity of the streets makes the city feel alive in a way that ordered cities do not. Each turn reveals something unexpected. A courtyard garden glimpsed through an open door, plants dark and mysterious in the evening shadows. A cat sitting on a windowsill, eyes reflecting torchlight with that strange metallic glow that makes animals seem otherworldly at night. A child's wooden toy abandoned on a doorstep, waiting for tomorrow's play to resume. These small details accumulate, creating texture, creating the particular character that makes Pompeii itself and nowhere else. Every city has its own personality, shaped by geography and history and the accumulated choices of thousands of inhabitants over generations. Pompeii's personality is warm, casual, comfortable. It is a city that embraces rather than intimidates, a city that welcomes rather than excludes. You pass a bakery. The ovens have been allowed to cool for the night, but the smell of baked bread still lingers in the air. It is a warm smell, yeasty and comforting. It speaks of routine, of daily work completed, of sustenance provided. The smell is so familiar that you barely notice it most days. But tonight, you breathe it in deeply. Let it fill your lungs, your awareness. How many times have you passed this bakery? Thousands, certainly. Perhaps tens of thousands over the course of your life. And each time, this smell was present, creating an invisible boundary around the building, marking this space as different from the spaces adjacent to it. The baker is probably inside now, sitting with his family, eating his own evening meal. His hands would still smell of flour. His arms would ache slightly from the day's kneading. His back would be sore from bending to the ovens. But these discomforts are familiar. They are part of who he is, part of the rhythm of his life. He would probably feel strange without them, incomplete, as if something essential was missing. You do not know the baker personally. You have bought bread from his shop many times over the years, but you have never spoken beyond the simple transactions of commerce. Good morning, 3 loaves. Here is payment, thank you. Good day. Brief exchanges that carry no weight, no meaning beyond their immediate function. And yet, you feel a kind of connection to him nonetheless. You both inhabit this city. You both move through its streets. You both know the particular quality of light that comes through these narrow passages at different times of day. The way morning sun slants from the east. The way afternoon heat builds and reflects off stone walls. The way evening brings this gentle dimming, this softening of edges. This shared experience creates a web of connection, invisible but real. Everyone who lives in Pompeii is part of this web, linked not through friendship or family, but through simple proximity, through the daily act of existing in the same place, through breathing the same air, through walking the same stones, through witnessing the same progression of seasons and days. This connection is so fundamental that you rarely think about it. It simply is, like breathing, like heartbeat, like the unconscious knowledge of where walls are in a dark room, how to navigate without sight because your body remembers the space. The street opens into a small plaza. In the center stands a statue of Mercury, the god of commerce and travelers. The statue is bronze, darkened by weather and time, covered with a patina that speaks of decades exposed to sun and rain, and the salt air that drifts in from the sea. During the day, the statue is unremarkable, just another piece of the city's infrastructure. Something you pass without seeing, without registering. But now, with torchlight catching its surface, it takes on presence. The shadows emphasize the sculptor's work, revealing skill that daylight washes out into flatness. You can see the careful modeling of muscle in Mercury's legs, the way the god's body balances on one foot as if caught mid-stride. Forever in motion, yet forever still. You can see the attention given to the face, the suggestion of alertness, of watchfulness. The wings on the god's sandals and helmet are delicate, detailed, each feather individually rendered, even though most viewers would never notice such precision. Someone made this statue. Someone spent months, perhaps years, working bronze, heating and hammering, and shaping metal into a representation of divinity. That person is long dead now. Their name has been forgotten, lost to time like so many names before and after. But their work remains, standing in this plaza, watched over by torchlight, keeping company with the night. You wonder if the sculptor ever imagined this. Their statue illuminated by fire, casting long shadows across empty paving stones, witnessed only by a solitary walker making their way home on a quiet evening. Probably not. The sculptor likely imagined daylight, crowds, religious processions, ceremonies and celebrations, the statue as focal point for communal activity. But perhaps this is better. Perhaps the statue was made for exactly this: to stand witness to the quiet hours, to remind passers-by that beauty persists even when no one is watching, that craft and care and dedication leave marks that outlast their makers, that human effort, even when forgotten, still matters. You reach out and touch the statue's base. The bronze is cool now, having released the day's heat. The metal feels solid, permanent, real, something you can know through touch, not just sight. This physical connection creates a strange sense of time collapsing. Your hand touching the same metal that the sculptor's hands shaped decades ago. Two moments separated by years, connected through object, through substance, through the simple continuity of matter. Then you release the statue and continue walking. A few streets further, you pass a potter's workshop. The door stands half open, revealing the interior where clay vessels line wooden shelves. Even in darkness, you can see their shapes. Amphorae for wine and oil, storage jars for grain, smaller vessels for personal use, each one shaped by human hands, each one bearing the subtle irregularities that distinguish craft from manufacture. The potter himself sits just inside the doorway, working by lamplight. His wheel is still, his day's throwing is complete, but he cannot leave the work entirely. He is trimming a large jar, running a thin metal tool around its base, removing excess clay, refining the form. His movements are precise, economical, born of decades of practice. The tool barely seems to touch the clay, yet thin ribbons curl away with each pass. The jar transforms from rough to smooth, from approximate to exact, from potential to realized. You stop and watch for a moment. The potter senses your presence and looks up. He nods a greeting but does not speak. Speaking would break his concentration. This work requires absolute attention. The clay is still wet, still vulnerable. One wrong move and hours of effort could be ruined. So you simply watch. There is something meditative about observing skilled work, the way expertise makes difficult things look effortless, the way years of practice compress into moments of fluid motion. The potter's hands know what to do without conscious direction. They have shaped clay so many times that thought is no longer necessary. This is mastery, not domination, not force, but partnership between human intention and material reality. The potter does not impose form on unwilling clay. He reveals form that already exists in potential. He collaborates with the material, working with its properties rather than against them. The jar taking shape is beautiful in its simplicity. No decoration, no ornament, just pure form. Function made visible. The curve of the body allows maximum capacity while maintaining structural integrity. The narrowing at the neck permits easy pouring while preventing spillage. Every aspect serves purpose, yet purpose does not exclude beauty. The jar is lovely precisely because it fulfills its function so completely. There is an honesty in objects that do not pretend to be more than they are. A vessel for holding liquids, nothing more, but that is enough. The potter finishes his trimming and sets the jar aside to dry. He wipes clay dust from his hands onto his already clay-stained tunic. Then he looks at you directly and smiles. A small smile. Quiet. Satisfied. "Good evening," he says simply. "Good evening," you reply. The jar is beautiful. He shrugs. "It is adequate. Tomorrow I will make another, and another, until my hands no longer remember the motion." His words could sound resigned, but they do not. There is contentment in them, acceptance of routine, recognition that most of life consists not of extraordinary moments, but of steady, repeated practice, of showing up day after day and doing the work that needs doing. This contentment moves you. There is wisdom in accepting what is, rather than longing for what might be. The potter could wish for fame, for recognition, for his work to be celebrated in distant cities. Instead, he makes jars, good jars, useful jars, and finds satisfaction in that simple fact. You wish him good night and continue walking. But his example stays with you. The quiet dignity of doing one's work well, of finding meaning in routine, of building a life from accumulated small efforts rather than waiting for grand gestures. Perhaps this is the real substance of existence, not the dramatic moments that everyone remembers, but the thousands of ordinary moments in between, the daily showing up, the steady practice, the incremental progress toward mastery. The street begins to climb more steeply now. You are approaching the residential terraces where houses have gardens, where space opens up, where the density of the lower city gives way to something more spacious. Your own house is among these, built by your grandfather, maintained by your father, now yours to care for and eventually pass to your children. This continuity matters. You are not just living in a house, you are inhabiting a story that began before you and will continue after you. You are one link in a chain stretching backward and forward through time. This knowledge is both humbling and comforting. You are small, but you are connected. You are temporary, but you are part of something enduring. The residential district is quieter than the commercial areas near the Forum. Here, the houses turn inward, organized around private courtyards. The outer walls are plain, functional, punctuated only by doorways and occasional windows set high for security and privacy. The architecture makes a statement. What happens inside these walls is family business, not meant for public view. But if you listen carefully, you can hear life happening inside these walls. The murmur of conversation, voices rising and falling in familiar patterns. Laughter, sudden and genuine, then fading back into talk. The clink of dishes being cleared, the domestic sounds of evening meals concluding. A child crying briefly, then soothed into silence by a mother's voice. These sounds are muffled, filtered through thick walls and distance. They do not intrude. They simply exist as evidence that the city lives, that behind these plain exteriors, families gather, meals are shared, the rituals of evening are performed. The same rituals happening in 1,000 homes at once. Each family thinking they are alone in their private space, unaware of how their evening mirrors countless other evenings unfolding simultaneously throughout the city. This simultaneity is oddly comforting. You are one person among thousands. Your evening is unique to you, but also part of a larger pattern, individual and universal at once, special and ordinary, significant and insignificant. Your own house is not far now. Just a few more turns, a short climb up a street that slopes gently toward the city's eastern edge, where houses give way to gardens and orchards, where the urban density relaxes into something more spacious. But you do not hurry. There is no need. The night is warm. The city is safe. And there is something pleasant about this solitary walk, this movement through familiar spaces transformed by darkness and firelight. During the day, these streets are crowded, noisy, full of commerce and interaction. But now they belong to you alone. Or if not you alone, then to the few other people making their way home, each moving through their own private experience of the city at night. You pass a wine shop. Through the open door, you can see the proprietor wiping down his counter with a damp cloth. The day's customers have departed. The shop is empty except for him and rows of amphorae lining the walls, each one containing wine from different regions, different harvests, different qualities. Some local, some imported from distant provinces, all waiting to be poured, consumed, transformed from commodity into experience. The proprietor works methodically, his movements practiced and efficient. He has performed this exact ritual hundreds of times, perhaps thousands. Closing the shop, cleaning the surfaces, preparing for tomorrow's opening. The actions require no thought. His hands know what to do. This allows his mind to drift, to settle, to find its own rhythm separate from the body's work. There is a kind of meditation in such repetition, a peace that comes from doing familiar things in familiar ways. The mind does not need to engage fully with the task. It can wander, remember, reflect, dream. You have experienced this yourself. Everyone who works with their hands knows this particular state of mind. The way physical routine creates space for mental wandering. The way familiar actions can become a kind of prayer, offered not to gods, but simply to the act itself, to the present moment, to the dignity of work well done, even if no one is watching, even if the work will need to be done again tomorrow. The wine shop owner looks up as you pass. He nods slightly, acknowledging your presence without expectation of conversation. You nod back. This small exchange is enough. Two people recognizing each other, confirming their shared existence in this moment, then allowing each other to return to solitude. There is wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, when to engage and when to let someone pass undisturbed. The wine shop owner understands this. You understand this. It is part of living in a city, part of the unspoken contract between neighbors. The street narrows again. Here, the houses crowd closer together, their walls nearly touching above your head. The upper stories extend outward, creating something almost like a tunnel. The effect makes the sky seem distant, reduced to a ribbon of darkness overhead, punctuated by stars that seem impossibly bright against the black. You look up as you walk, tilting your head back to see the stars. They have always been there, of course. You see them every clear night, but usually you do not really look at them. Usually they are just backdrop, ambient light, nothing worth focused attention. Tonight, though, they demand notice, perhaps because of the contrast with the dark walls on either side. Perhaps because walking through this narrow passage creates a natural frame, directing your gaze upward. Or perhaps simply because tonight you are present in a way you often are not. Tonight you are noticing things: the warmth of stone, the sound of water, the smell of bread, the presence of stars. This noticing feels important, though you cannot say exactly why. It feels like a gift you are giving yourself, the gift of attention, the gift of being fully here, in this moment, in this place. Not thinking about yesterday, not planning for tomorrow, just being, just walking, just breathing, just alive. The stars are ancient light. You remember a philosopher once explaining this in the forum, how the light from stars travels vast distances to reach human eyes, how some of the stars we see may no longer exist. Their light still traveling through the void long after the stars themselves have died. The idea seemed impossible at the time, preposterous. How could light continue without its source? But the philosopher had been confident, explaining with diagrams drawn in the dust, talking about distances so vast they could not be imagined, only expressed in numbers that seemed like poetry rather than mathematics. You did not fully understand then. You do not fully understand now. But the idea stays with you, the notion that you might be seeing light from something that no longer exists, that the past can persist in the present through forms we do not recognize. That time is more complicated than simple progression from past to future. These thoughts are too large for the moment. They threaten to overwhelm the simple pleasure of walking home on a quiet evening. You let them go, returning your attention to what is immediate, what is tangible, the stones beneath your feet, the walls on either side, the distant sound of that fountain, still audible from here, still marking the corner where you stop to wash your face. The passage opens suddenly into a wider street. The transition is almost shocking after the compressed space of the previous section. Suddenly there is room to breathe, space to move without brushing against walls. The sky expands overhead, no longer a narrow ribbon, but a vast dark dome. You take a deep breath, filling your lungs completely. The air tastes clean, with a hint of salt from the distant sea. Pompeii is not a coastal city, but it is close enough to the water that sometimes, when the wind comes from the right direction, you can smell the Mediterranean. Salt and fish and seaweed. The ancient smell of the ocean that covers most of the world. Tonight the air is still, but the salt remains, faint but present. It reminds you that the city is not isolated, it is part of a larger world, connected to other places through trade, through travel, through the simple fact of geography. Ships arrive daily at Pompeii's port, bringing goods and people from every corner of the empire and beyond. Grain from Egypt, wine from Gaul, silk from the Far East, ideas and customs and languages mixing here in this small city on the Italian coast. This connectivity is what makes cities different from villages. Villages turn inward, self-contained, isolated. Cities reach outward, always in contact with elsewhere, always absorbing and transforming, always becoming something slightly different than they were yesterday. Your house is just ahead now. You can see its doorway, marked by a small lamp hanging beside the entrance. The flame burns steadily, welcoming you home. Your wife would have lit this lamp at sunset, as she does every evening, creating a beacon for your return. This small ritual matters. It says, you are expected, you are awaited, you are part of something that continues, whether you are present or absent. The lamp burning is not just practical illumination. It is symbolic. It is love made visible, care transformed into light. But before you enter, you pause one final time. You turn and look back the way you came, back toward the forum, toward the heart of the city. From here, you can see the glow of distant torches. You can hear, very faintly, the sound of that fountain you passed earlier. The city continues its quiet evening existence, independent of your presence, unaware that you have been walking its streets, noticing its details, absorbing its particular atmosphere. This thought brings a strange comfort. The city does not need you. It will continue regardless. Tomorrow, whether you are present or absent, the sun will rise, the bakery will open, the fountain will flow. Life will proceed according to its own patterns, its own rhythms, its own inevitable progression. There is freedom in this realization. You are not essential. You are not carrying the weight of the world. You are simply one person among thousands, living one evening among countless evenings, walking one path through a city that has existed long before you and will continue long after. This should be lonely. Perhaps it is, but it also feels like release, like permission to simply be without needing to be anything more, to exist without justifying existence, to walk without destination being more important than the walking itself. You turn back to your house. The lamp beside the door casts a small pool of golden light. You step into this light, and it surrounds you like an embrace, like welcome, like home. Home. The word feels complete, final, a period at the end of a long sentence, a return after departure, a coming to rest after movement. You push open the door. It swings inward silently on well-oiled hinges, revealing the interior of your house. Inside, you can hear the familiar sounds of your household. Your family is here. Dinner is waiting. The evening's routines are ready to unfold. Life continues, but before you enter fully, you take one more look at the street, at the darkness, at the distant glow of torches, at the city settling into night. This moment will not come again. Tomorrow will bring a different evening, different light, different sounds. Each night is unique, unrepeatable, precious in its singularity. You breathe it in. You let it fill you. You commit it to memory, though you know memory is imperfect, that it will transform this moment even as it preserves it. But that is acceptable. Memory does not need to be perfect. It only needs to be enough. Enough to carry forward. Enough to remind you someday that you were here, that you noticed, that you paid attention, and then you step inside. You close the door behind you. The outside world fades. Your attention shifts to what is immediate, what is present, what is now. The courtyard of your house is open to the sky. A small garden grows there, herbs and flowers arranged around a central fountain. This fountain is smaller than the public ones in the streets, more decorative than functional. Its basin is only as wide as a man's outstretched arms, but its sound is the same, water finding its level, following gravity, creating that endless falling that somehow suggests permanence rather than loss. The courtyard fountain has been part of your house for longer than you have lived here. It was built by your father when he first bought this property before you were born. He designed it himself, sketching the shape and dimensions, hiring craftsmen to execute his vision. It was one of his proudest accomplishments, this fountain. He would sit beside it in the evening, listening to the water, finding peace in its constant song. He is gone now, dead these 5 years, but the fountain remains, still singing the song he designed for it, still following the patterns he established. In this way, he persists, not as ghost, not as spirit, but as presence in water, in stone, in the careful arrangement of space and sound. You cross the courtyard slowly. Your family has not noticed your arrival yet. They are in the triclinium, the dining room, arranging cushions and preparing for the meal. You can hear them speaking, their voices familiar and comforting. Your wife's low laugh, your eldest daughter's animated description of something, your son's voice, recently deepened, trying to sound more adult than he yet is. These voices are home, more than walls, more than roof, more than location. Home is the sound of people you love moving through their evening, creating the particular music that belongs only to your family. You could call out, announce yourself, join them immediately, but instead you pause beside the fountain, letting the sound of water wash over you, letting this final moment of solitude complete itself naturally. The water catches light from a lamp hanging nearby. It sparkles briefly as it falls, each drop holding fire for an instant, before returning to shadow, to the basin, to the cycle that will lift it again tomorrow when the sun heats the pool and evaporation begins. Everything is cycle. Everything returns. Nothing is lost, only transformed. Water to vapor to cloud to rain to stream to fountain to vapor again. Stone to gravel to sand to stone. Life to death to earth to new life. The world is not a line but a circle, not a progression but a cycle, not ending but transforming. These thoughts feel profound, then silly. You smile at yourself, at the tendency of evening and solitude to turn ordinary observations into philosophy. The fountain is just a fountain. Water is just water. You are tired and hungry and ready to join your family. You extend your hand and let the water run over your fingers. It is cool, refreshing after the day's heat that still lingers in your skin. The sensation is pleasant, grounding. It brings you fully into your body, fully into this moment. Reminds you that you are flesh and blood, not just thought and memory. That you exist in physical space, subject to physical laws, connected to the material world through touch and taste and smell. Your youngest child appears in the doorway. She sees you and smiles. "Papa," she says simply, and in that word is everything. Welcome. Love, the uncomplicated joy of your return, the certainty that you belong here, that this is where you should be. You smile back. "I am home," you reply. These words feel more true than usual, not just physically present in the building, but truly home, truly here, fully arrived. She runs to you and takes your hand. Her grip is warm, soft, trusting. "Dinner is ready," she announces with the seriousness only small children can bring to such ordinary statements. Everyone is waiting. You allow yourself to be led inside. The triclinium is warm, lit by several oil lamps. Their flames dance slightly in air currents you cannot feel, creating patterns of light and shadow on the walls. The room smells of food and family, of bread and olive oil, of wine and conversation, of home. Your wife sits on one of the dining couches, arranging fruit in a wooden bowl. She looks up as you enter, and her expression softens. "You are late," she observes, but there is no reproach in her voice. Only statement of fact, only acknowledgement. "I walked slowly," you explain. "The evening was beautiful." She nods. She understands. After 15 years of marriage, much can be communicated without elaborate explanation. She knows your moods, your rhythms, your need for solitude after a day of commerce and interaction. She does not take this personally. She allows you space, knowing that space strengthens rather than weakens connection. Your other children are present. Your eldest daughter, recently turned 16, arranging cushions with the careful attention to aesthetics that marks young women beginning to see themselves as women rather than children. Your son, 14, trying to appear casual but unable to hide his hunger, his eyes tracking the food as it is brought in. Your elderly father, who lives with you since your mother passed 2 years ago, sitting quietly in his customary corner, content to observe rather than participate actively. They greet you with the easy familiarity of family. No formal welcomes needed, just nods, smiles, the casual acknowledgement of your presence. This is what family becomes over time. Not dramatic gestures and declarations, but simple, quiet, reliable presence. Being there, showing up, continuing. You take your place on the main dining couch. A servant brings water for washing hands. You pour it over your fingers, watching the water carry away the day's accumulated dust. The ritual is automatic, performed countless times, but tonight you notice the small details. The temperature of the water, the texture of the towel used for drying, the faint scent of olive oil on your skin from something you handled earlier in the day. Everything becomes new when you pay attention. Every ordinary act reveals unexpected depth when examined rather than merely performed. The meal begins. A servant brings the first course, bread, still warm, with olive oil for dipping. The bread is from the bakery you passed earlier, bought this morning before the day's heat built. The oil is from your own trees, pressed last autumn, stored in the cool cellar where temperature stays constant year-round. You tear off a piece of bread and dip it in oil. The combination is simple, ancient, fundamental. Grain and olive, the two pillars of Mediterranean sustenance. Your ancestors ate this same food 1,000 years ago. Your descendants will eat it 1,000 years hence. Some things do not change. Some flavors are eternal. The taste fills your mouth. The bread's texture is perfect, crispy outside and soft within. The oil is rich, smooth, carrying that particular bitterness that distinguishes good oil from mediocre. You chew slowly, giving the flavors time to develop, to reveal their complexity. Your wife has added herbs to the oil. You taste basil, oregano, a hint of rosemary. These herbs grow in your courtyard, tended by your wife and daughters. They were picked this afternoon, still fresh, still green. Tomorrow they will begin to wilt, next week they will be dry. But tonight they are perfect. Tonight they are exactly what they should be. More food arrives, cheese made from sheep's milk, crumbly and sharp. Olives preserved in brine, their flesh bitter-sweet. Figs, so ripe they threaten to burst their skins. Salted fish from this morning's catch, its flesh white and delicate. Wine mixed with water in the proper proportions, neither too strong nor too weak. The meal is not elaborate. This is not a banquet. Just the food of daily life, prepared with care, served with attention. Nothing here would impress guests. But that is not the point. The point is sustenance. The point is family gathered. The point is this moment, this evening, this continuation of life. Conversation flows around you. Your children talking about their day. Your wife mentioning something that needs repair. Your father telling a story you have heard before, but which still brings gentle laughter because familiarity does not diminish pleasure. Sometimes the familiar is more comforting than the novel. Sometimes repetition is exactly what is needed. The meal continues its unhurried pace. Between courses there are pauses, moments when no one speaks. When the only sound is the fountain in the courtyard, its water song drifting through the open doorway. Your eldest daughter breaks the silence. She has been to the Temple of Venus today, not for any particular religious obligation, simply because she finds peace there. The temple gardens are beautiful, she explains. The roses are blooming. The scent is almost overwhelming. She describes sitting in the shade of a cypress tree, watching other women come to make offerings. Some asking for love, some giving thanks for marriages arranged, others seeking beauty, fertility, favor in matters of the heart. I did not make an offering, your daughter admits. I just sat, breathed, listened to the doves. Her honesty touches you. She is at that age when young women are supposed to be consumed with thoughts of marriage, of securing a good match, of following the expected path. Yet she speaks instead of breathing, of listening, of being present rather than always planning for what comes next. Your wife smiles at your daughter. You understand something, she says quietly, something that takes many people decades to learn, that sometimes the greatest wisdom is in simply being, not doing, not striving, just existing in the moment. Your son shifts uncomfortably. He does not yet understand this wisdom. He is at an age where action seems more important than contemplation, where achievement matters more than appreciation. This is natural. He will learn. Time teaches what words cannot. Your father speaks. When I was your age, he addresses your son. I thought old people were fools. They sat when they should run. They rested when they should work. They talked about patience when the world demanded urgency. He pauses, taking a slow sip of wine. Now I am old, he continues, and I see that what I mistook for foolishness was actually understanding. The young see time as limitless, so they rush, they push, they exhaust themselves trying to accomplish everything at once. The old know that time is limited, so they choose carefully, they move deliberately. They save their energy for what truly matters. The room becomes very quiet. Your father rarely speaks at length. When he does, even your restless son listens. I do not tell you to slow down, your father says. Youth should be energetic, should be ambitious, should be impatient with the world as it is. But I ask you to remember that speed is not the same as progress. That activity is not the same as accomplishment. That noise is not the same as music. Your son nods slowly. He does not fully understand yet, but something has registered. A seed planted that will grow over years. The conversation shifts. Your wife mentions that the weaver down the street is taking on an apprentice, a young girl from the countryside whose family cannot support her. The weaver, who is childless, will teach her the craft, give her a trade, a way to support herself. This is how communities function, you think, not through grand institutions or official programs, but through individual acts of generosity, through people seeing need and responding, through the informal networks that bind neighbors to each other. Your daughter asks about the upcoming festival of Vulcan, the god of fire and forge. It falls in 2 weeks. There will be processions, offerings, games. The entire city will participate. You remember last year's festival? The heat of late August, making the celebration of fire seem almost perverse. Yet people still gathered, still made their offerings, still maintained the traditions that connect present to past. Will there be races? Your son asks, suddenly interested. There are always races, you reply, and you will likely want to enter them. Your son grins. He is fast, competitive. Last year he placed 3rd in the youth division. This year he believes he can win. You hope he is right, but even if he is not, the trying matters more than the winning. Your wife brings out honey cakes for the end of the meal. They are small, sweet, drizzled with more honey and topped with crushed nuts. A luxury. Not something served every evening, but tonight feels special somehow. Though you cannot say exactly why. Perhaps it is simply this gathering, this conversation, this ease with which words flow between people who know each other deeply. This is what family becomes over time. Not just shared blood, but shared history, shared understanding, shared comfort in silence and speech alike. Your father takes a honey cake and bites into it slowly. His expression softens. "These remind me of your mother," he says quietly. "She loved sweet things, always said life was bitter enough without denying yourself pleasure when it is offered." A shadow crosses his face, brief, then gone. Grief does not vanish with time, it simply becomes familiar, a permanent resident of the heart, but one you learn to live with, to accommodate without being destroyed by. Your wife reaches over and squeezes your father's hand. He nods, accepting the gesture. No words are needed. Comfort can be transmitted through touch, through presence, through the simple act of witnessing another person's pain without trying to fix or diminish it. The meal is truly finished now, the food consumed, the wine drunk, the conversation winding down naturally. Your children begin to drift away. First your son, tired from a day of running with friends. Then your daughter, retreating to her room with a lamp and a scroll she has been reading. Your father rises slowly, his joints stiff from sitting. He bids you and your wife good night. His footsteps fade as he makes his way to his quarters. And then it is just the two of you, your wife and you, sitting in lamplight, surrounded by the debris of a meal shared. Comfortable in the silence, you participate, but you also observe. You watch your family as if seeing them for the first time. The particular way your eldest daughter gestures when she talks, her hands describing shapes in the air. The laugh lines around your wife's eyes, evidence of years of smiling, of joy accumulated and written on her face. The gentle tremor in your father's hands as he reaches for bread, age making itself known in small ways. These details have always been present. You have simply not been present to them. Tonight, for reasons you cannot fully articulate, you are here, really here, seeing what has always been visible, noticing what has always been noticeable. This presence feels like a gift, like grace, like sudden clarity after long dimness. "A good day," she observes, though you both know it was unremarkable. "A good day," you agree. She comes and sits beside you on the dining couch. Her presence is familiar, comfortable. You have been married 15 years. You know each other's rhythms, moods, silences. You have grown together, changed together, become who you are through the daily practice of sharing life. Sometimes this familiarity feels like loss. You remember when you first met, when everything about her was discovery, revelation, fascination, when every conversation revealed something new, when desire was sharp and urgent, when love felt like falling. Now love feels different, steadier, deeper, less dramatic but more essential, like roots rather than flowers, like foundation rather than decoration. The falling part is gone, but the being part remains, and the being part is what endures. She rests her head on your shoulder. Neither of you speaks. There is nothing that needs saying. The silence is full, complete, sufficient. You sit together as the lamps burn lower, as the house settles into its nighttime stillness, as Pompeii outside continues its quiet existence, unaware and uncaring of this small moment of domestic peace. Eventually, she stirs. "We should sleep," she says quietly. You nod, but before you go to your sleeping chamber, you walk once more through the courtyard. A habit you have developed over years. A final check, making sure lamps are properly extinguished, that doors are secured, that the house is settled for the night. But it is more than practical necessity. It is ritual, a way of marking the transition from day to night, from activity to rest, from the world outside to the world within. The fountain continues its song, eternal, unchanging. Your father built this fountain with his own hands. You remember watching him as a child, the way he tested the flow, adjusted the angle of the spout, listened to the sound with critical attention until it was exactly as he wanted it. He built it for your mother. She loved the sound of water, said it reminded her of her childhood home near a stream. After she died, he would sit here for hours, not speaking, just listening. As if the water carried her voice, now he is gone too. But the fountain remains, still singing the song he designed for it, still remembering in its way. You dip your fingers in the basin. The water is cool, clear. It catches moonlight and holds it briefly before releasing it back to darkness. Everything in life is like this, you think. Temporary custody of light, brief illumination, then return to shadow. This thought should be sad. Instead, it feels peaceful. There is relief in impermanence. Nothing has to last forever. Nothing has to be perfect. It only has to be what it is, for as long as it is. You look up at the sky. The stars are brilliant tonight. So many that they seem to crowd against each other, competing for space in the darkness. The Greeks say each star is a soul. The Egyptians say they are gods. The philosophers say they are balls of fire suspended in distant ether. You do not know which belief is true. Perhaps none of them. Perhaps all of them. Perhaps truth is not singular, but multiple. Perhaps different explanations can coexist without contradiction. A shooting star streaks across the sky. Brief, bright, gone. You make no wish. You simply observe. Bear witness. Acknowledge that you were present for this moment that will never come again. The night air has cooled significantly. The heat that lingered after sunset has finally dissipated. A breeze stirs the herb plants growing along the courtyard wall. You smell rosemary, lavender, mint, each scent distinct, each adding to the particular atmosphere of this space. Your wife appears in the doorway. "Are you coming?" she asks gently. "Yes," you reply. "I was just saying goodnight to the house." She smiles. She understands. The house is not just structure. It is presence. It is entity. It deserves acknowledgement. You take one more breath. Draw the night deep into your lungs. Let it fill you. Become part of you. Then you turn and follow your wife inside. The lamps are extinguished one by one. Each time, the darkness deepens. But it is not frightening. It is welcoming, inviting, necessary. Because rest requires darkness, sleep requires letting go, and letting go requires trust. Trust that the darkness will not harm you, that morning will return, that the world will still be here when you wake. You have this trust, built over a lifetime, reinforced every morning when light returns, when life continues, when the patterns you depend on prove reliable once more. Together you stand, together you extinguish the remaining lamps. Darkness fills the room, but it is not total. Moonlight enters through the impluvium, the opening in the roof above the courtyard pool. This pale light is enough to navigate by. Your feet know the way anyway. Your body has moved through this house so many times that sight is almost unnecessary. You walk through the familiar spaces side by side, through the courtyard, past the fountain, still murmuring its endless conversation with itself, through the passage toward your sleeping chamber. The room is simple: a bed wide enough for two, a chest for clothing, a small table, a lamp currently unlit, a window shuttered against the night. Nothing is needed beyond these basics. Sleep requires only darkness, quiet, and a place to rest one's body. Your wife lies down first. You extinguish the hallway lamp and join her. The bed is comfortable, broken in by years of use. The mattress knows the shape of your bodies. The pillows hold familiar indentations. The blanket is soft from countless washings. You arrange yourself into your usual sleeping position, lying on your right side. Your wife moves closer, seeking warmth even though the night is mild. This too is habit, the unconscious pull toward proximity, toward contact, toward the reassurance of another body nearby. This physical closeness is one of marriage's quiet gifts. The right to share space, to touch without asking permission, to sleep beside someone night after night, year after year, bodies growing so familiar that they almost seem like extensions of your own body. You close your eyes. Immediately, the day begins to review itself behind your eyelids. Images flash past: the forum at dusk, the fountain's endless falling, the wine shop owner wiping his counter, the stars visible through the narrow street, your daughter's smile, the taste of figs, your wife's head on your shoulder. These memories accumulate layer upon layer, creating the sediment of lived experience. Tomorrow they will begin to fade. Details will blur. The sharpness will diminish. But some essential quality will remain, absorbed into the larger story of your life. You think about tomorrow. There are things that need doing. A shipment to arrange, a debt to collect, repairs to commission. The ordinary machinery of life that requires attention, that demands time and effort and thought. But these concerns feel distant now, manageable, nothing urgent, nothing that cannot wait for morning. For now, there is only this bed, this darkness, this breath moving in and out, this gradual softening of consciousness as sleep approaches. Your wife's breathing has already deepened. She has found sleep ahead of you, as she usually does. Her presence beside you is both specific and abstract. You know it is her. But you could not, in this darkness, describe exactly how you know. Just that you do. Just that her absence would be immediately apparent. This knowing without seeing, this recognition without evidence, this is what years together create, a kind of knowledge that transcends sensory information, that operates at levels deeper than conscious thought. You let your mind drift, not forcing sleep, not fighting wakefulness, just allowing the natural process to unfold at its own pace. Images float past without context: a bronze statue, a clay lamp, water in a basin, a child's toy. None of it connects to anything. No narrative emerges, just fragments, details, sensory impressions released from meaning. This is the border country between waking and sleep, the place where logic softens, where time becomes fluid, where the day's structure dissolves into something less organized, more fundamental. You sink deeper. Your body grows heavy. The bed seems to rise up to meet you, supporting you more completely. Your breathing slows. each exhale is longer than the one before. Somewhere in the house, a door creaks, one of your children shifting in sleep, or just the house itself, wood and stone adjusting to the cooling night air. Old buildings make sounds. They breathe in their own way. They settle and creak and whisper, carrying on conversations with the night that humans cannot fully understand. These small noises do not disturb you. They are part of the texture of home, part of what makes this place familiar, safe, yours. Your thoughts become dreamlike. Logic gives way to association. You think of walking through streets, though you are lying still. You hear fountain water, though the courtyard is distant. You smell bread, though no baking occurs. Memory and imagination blend. Past and present merge. The boundaries that usually separate experience from thought become porous, permeable, no longer reliable. This is sleep's approach, not dramatic, not sudden, just a gradual letting go, a release of the need to maintain sharp boundaries, to hold on to definition. You are home, you are safe, you are loved. These facts are enough, everything else can be released. In the distance, so faint you cannot be sure you truly hear it, comes the sound of Vesuvius, the mountain that watches over Pompeii, the mountain that has always been there, solid and permanent, part of the landscape like the sea or the sky. Sometimes the mountain grumbles, small tremors, minor earthquakes, nothing serious, nothing that cannot be ignored. The mountain has always been restless. It is its nature. You have lived your entire life within sight of Vesuvius, within hearing of its occasional complaints. It is as familiar as your own heartbeat, less a threat than a landmark, a way of knowing where you are. The mountain has witnessed every day of your life. It was there when you were born. It will be there when you die, constant, enduring, eternal. Or so it seems. But you do not think about this. You do not consider that permanence might be illusion, that the familiar might prove unfamiliar, that the solid ground beneath Pompeii might shift, transform, betray. You cannot know what tomorrow holds. No one can. The future is always hidden, always uncertain, always approaching but never quite arriving until it becomes the present. All you have is now, this moment, this breath, this warmth, this darkness, this slow descent into sleep. And this is enough. This is everything. This is the whole world, contained in one body, one bed, one house, one quiet evening in a city that feels eternal but is not. Sleep comes, not as a sudden event, but as a gradual deepening, a settling, a release. Consciousness does not vanish, but rather transforms, moving into different territory, following different rules. Dreams begin to form, not narratives, just impressions. Warmth, motion, light catching water, voices without words, feelings without context. Your body continues its work without your supervision. Breathing, heart beating, blood flowing. All the invisible processes that maintain life proceeding automatically, requiring no thought, no effort. The night deepens. Pompeii sleeps, your house sleeps, your family sleeps, you sleep. And in this sleep, there is perfect peace, perfect safety, perfect rest. Tomorrow is unimaginable. Tomorrow does not exist. There is only now, only this. Only the gentle dark and the soft breath and the warm stone still holding the memory of sun. Rest now. Let everything else fall away. Let the day release you. Let sleep take you in its gentle arms and carry you toward morning, toward whatever comes next, toward tomorrow, but not yet. For now, just this. Just peace. Just rest. Just sleep. The city breathes around you, thousands of people sleeping in thousands of homes, each dreaming their own dreams. each resting in their own way, each trusting that tomorrow will arrive, that the sun will rise, that life will continue. And it will. For now. For this night. This last night. This final evening before everything changes. But you do not know this. You cannot know this. And so you sleep peacefully, deeply, completely. The way all of Pompeii sleeps on this warm August night in the year 79. One more night among countless nights. One more evening among all the evenings that have come before. Not the last, not yet. Just another night. Just another sleep. Just another tomorrow waiting beyond the darkness. Rest now. The night is safe. The morning will come. Rest.